going to talk a bit today about preparing him room. I was thinking about the song Joy to the World, and as part of this, when you think about Joy to the World, the Lord is come, and he talks about let every heart prepare him room. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. But I want to tell you a story first about this bear. So this bear is called Patty Bear.
Hello, Patty.
Hello. So my mum's called Pat, and my mum... Oh, you do the one?
No. I won't. Yeah, it's just recording. That's just the recording.
Okay. Oh, you just got that. Okay. So my mum is called Pat, and when she was a little girl, she had a teddy bear. Are you coming to hold Patty Bear for me? Thank you. So she had a teddy bear, and they couldn't think what to call it, and her big sister said, why don't you just call it Patty, which actually was her name. So Patty became my mum's bear. So, and over the years, Patty was much loved, and she travelled through many houses and many journeys. She was there when my mum lost her mum. She was there when things went wrong in her life and things were good in her life. And eventually, my mum had a little girl of her own. So she had me, and she gave me Patty Bear. And Patty Bear, at the time, was probably about the same size as me when I was born. I was very tiny. And Patty Bear became really, really important to me. So she was my best friend, a bit like Emma's friend Patch. She was my best friend, and I told her everything, and I loved her with a love that was really, really deep. And one day, we lived in Middlesbrough at the time, and we came on holiday to Sheffield, because that's how we rolled. And we were staying in a place called Pitsmoor, so that was our holiday destination of choice. Come on the Pitsmoor. So we stayed in a house on Abbeyfield Road with a group of people who were Christians, and we went down to Abbeyfield, to the park at the bottom of Abbeyfield Road, and I took Patty Bear, as I would do, because she came everywhere with me, and I put her on the swing, and I pushed her on the swing, and Patty Bear had a great time, and we had a great time, and we went back to the house, and we were playing, and suddenly we realised that actually Patty Bear wasn't with us anymore. At that point, my world ended and imploded, and at the age of about 5 or 6, this was a disaster. Don't forget what, darling? Oh yes, okay. When I grew up, Patty Bear became Emma's, so I've had to borrow her today. So, but I was distraught, absolutely distraught. My dad and my mum ran down the road. They ran back to the park. It was going dark, and they ran. And there were other people holding on to me as I was screaming at the thought of the loss of this bear. And so I remember it really, really clearly. So it's one of those memories that I really remember. And when they got to the park, they saw this kid on the swings, and the kid was by the swings, and the kid took the bear off the swings and disappeared. And my mum and dad could not catch him, and I was just inconsolable. And the grief that I felt for that bear, which I know sounds really daft, doesn't it? The grief that I felt for that bear was huge. And everybody tried to tell me it was okay. They bought me a pink elephant. Somebody bought me a pink elephant. Somebody else bought me another bear. They bought me various things. And I did have other toys. Of course, I wasn't a child that only had one toy in the whole world. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same as a Patty Bear, and I felt that I'd really lost something of me. And over that year, my mum thought about this, and on Christmas morning, the following year, on Christmas morning, I came downstairs, and I found a bike. Didn't see the bike. I saw there was a doll's house and a pile of presents. Didn't see any of that.
Just go and play now.
Yes, you can go and play. You're all done. I came downstairs, and what I saw sitting on the bike was this bear. That's what I saw sitting on this bike, and that was like the best moment ever. And we went to church that morning, and the vicar at church said, can I ask you, can the kids come up and tell me what you had for Christmas? And all I could say was, my Patty Bear came back. And there were tears running down my face because I was so happy. My Patty Bear came back, and that's all I said for like the whole of the day. And all I could do was cuddle this bear. And for me, it's a kind of a description really of do the next one, sorry, Anne. It was a description really of hope fulfilled, because I'd lost all hope. The longing that was in my heart for that bear to come back had become a secret longing, because actually, what was the point of saying I really want Patty Bear back? Everybody knew Patty Bear had gone. We'd all seen her go. Everybody knew there was no hope. There was no hope. So we didn't talk about Patty Bear. We didn't really talk about the fact that she'd gone. I never expressed the fact that I was hoping that she would come back. But on Christmas morning, she came back, which was like a mini miracle for me. today, this morning, can you go to the next one, I'm sorry. And today, Ollie said something about it being the third Sunday in Advent. And the third Sunday in Advent is called Gaudete Sunday. So in the church calendar, in the Anglican church calendar, Catholic church calendar, it's called Gaudete Sunday, which it comes from the words Gaudete in Domino Semper. That's Latin. Thank you. Which means rejoice in the Lord. That's what it means, rejoice in the Lord. And today is a really special time in Advent, because in Advent, it's a bit like Lent. Advent is a time of preparation, it's a time of quiet reflection, it's all of that stuff, preparing. But on Gaudete Sunday, the Anglican Church, they get to wear pink robes. Which is like, yeah, wearing pink today. They get to wear pink robes because pink in the Anglican Church is all about celebration and rejoicing. So as part of that pilgrimage that you work on towards to Christmas, going through Advent, today is the day when you take a little break from the pilgrimage and say, the Lord is come, so we can rejoice in hope fulfilled. So today is the day that you recognise that at Christmas, hope was fulfilled in Jesus. Doesn't mean you're not still on the journey, but it means you recognise it and you can rejoice in the middle of that journey. So, and I was thinking about kind of, well, what does that mean? What does God say about rejoicing? What does He say about the hope that is fulfilled? And I'm reading Isaiah 35, which is the kind of a really well-known passage, the beginning of Isaiah 35. So this is what it says, I think. Hopefully, next one. I'm sorry. It says, "The desert and the parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom, and like the crocus it will burst into bloom. It will rejoice greatly and shout for joy." So that's the promise we have at Christmas when Christ comes, that the parched land will be glad and that the wilderness will rejoice and blossom. It doesn't say that the green garden will rejoice and be glad. It doesn't say that, you know, the flowery meadow will rejoice and be glad. It says the wilderness and the parched land will be glad, and like the crocus it will burst into bloom. And crocuses are often the kind of the sign of spring, aren't they? That's often the sign of newness and the next season. And in Israel, they knew loads about the parched land. You've just gone to the next one, Andy. So this is what it says in James, and this is a verse that they often use in services through Advent. "Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and the spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near." The Lord's coming is near. And in Israel, it didn't rain all year. I mean, here we see a lot of rain, so rain is a bit like, yeah, whatever. And I suppose if you're in Manchester, it'd be even worse. But in Israel, it doesn't rain all year. It rains at specific times. So you have to make the most of the rain when it comes. It rains in mid-December, it rains in mid-October and mid-March. And the farmers are completely dependent on that rain. So if they miss one drop of rain, if they miss one of those seasons and that season it doesn't rain, it means that their crops don't grow. It means that they can't feed themselves over the next year. So the Israelites really understood what parched land was. And they understood what parched land rejoicing was going to be, and they understood that the rain and was required in order to make the crops grow. Go on to the next one, Andy. Andy's my glamorous assistant this morning. So this is just to wake you up a little bit. So waiting. Advent is about waiting. This is a couple of cats, picture for people who can't see it. So they're under an umbrella, they're in the middle of the flood, and they're kind of going, "It's okay, Noah called, he's picking us up in 10 minutes. And often, yeah, I'm not sure they look that convinced, if I'm honest about it. But it doesn't really feel like that sometimes, that actually, yeah, it's only 10 minutes away. When you're in the middle of waiting, and you're in the middle of longing. Moving on to the next one. And Advent is more than waiting. It's more than waiting for Christmas. I think often, as we build up in this really busy season, everybody's shopping. I'm really impressed at everybody getting their cards done today. But often it does feel like you're waiting. Like Isaac said this morning, he said, Santa's coming soon, he said. But you know what? For Isaac, it's going to be quite a long time till Santa comes, because it's a whole another 2 weeks, and the concept of time for him is a bit immediate and a bit longer. And for us, I think it can feel like that. That actually, it's not about waiting, it's more about the longing. It's the longing and the hope. It's when you say, "Oh Lord," in your prayers, or "Oh God," in your prayers, it's the "oh" in that. It's that groan from inside, the "Oh God, Oh, Lord. The promise of Advent is that at Christmas, the incarnation happens and God becomes flesh. Jesus comes to earth and it fulfills all of that promise. It fulfills all of the promises. We have put our hope in him, but it often feels like, Lord, how long have I got to wait? How long? How long have I got to wait? It feels like forever. And in the middle of what's going on at the moment, I think, when I was preparing this, I was just thinking about the sadness and the darkness in the world. And I think this year's been a particularly tricky year for people, for us individually, for community, but also for the world. You know, there's been some massive shifting things going on in the world. Donald Trump, Brexit, mass Syria, the massive crisis that's happening, the humanitarian crisis across the world. Huge darkness and huge amounts of sadness and huge amount of change. And in Proverbs it talks about hope deferred makes the heart sick. But hope fulfilled is like a tree of life. So it's rooted and strong, and it feeds. You can feed off a tree of life. The promise is that the day is coming. And when we walk through Advent, it reminds us that it is coming and we're in that journey. But do you know what? God's rarely early. He's not known for his earliness. So you think about Abraham and you think about the Israelites wandered in the desert 40 years. You think about, all of those things where people wait a long time. He is rarely early. And in that time of waiting, that time of yearning and longing, it's more than just waiting. What we're doing is sort of embracing the tension between the now and the not yet. So right now, we know Christmas is coming. We know that's going to happen. We know it. We know it's going to happen. We believe it. It will happen. The 25th of December will arrive. But it's not today. It's not today. We know we've got to walk through the next 2 weeks. We've got to just get through the next 2 weeks. For some of us, we've got to, wait till the time off. We've got to wait till the end of term. We've got to wait. We've got to wait. But we know it's coming. And there's something about the tension that we live in where we know he's coming and we know he's near, but we also want him to do all that he's promised right now. We want him to bring justice. We want him to wipe away every tear right now. We don't want to wait. Don't want to wait for that. Don't want to wait. And as we wait, sometimes that can be hard because you can become a little bit more cynical every time it doesn't happen. You can become a little bit more hardened to the waiting, a little bit more used to it, a little bit less expectant every time something doesn't happen. But he doesn't say that. He says, I will come. You go to the next slide, Andy. Thanks. So I always like to bring a bit of China into my talks, just to remind you, and if you do want to sponsor, let me know. So this is a saying from Confucius. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. When Patty Bear came back, you will look at this, and remember I told you that Patty Bear was my mum's bear. Now my mum's 70 next year, and Patty Bear came when my mum was born.
Is that why she's called Patty?
Yes, that is why she's called Patty. Andy, you were listening the whole time. Well, picked up on that. So, but this bear, does that bear look 70 years old to you?
Ish.
Ish. She originally had a nose and she had a mouth and she had proper eyes, but the nose had been so cuddled that it had become flat. Because so for 40 years my mum had cuddled her or whatever, and then given it to me and I'd cuddled her, and her nose had become flat. My mum made this bear. She made it from scratch. She got in touch with all our family and friends and she said, have you got any pictures of Helen with the bear? Have you got any pictures? Have you got any photos? She got in touch with her family and said, do you remember when I was little, have you got any photos of the bear? And then she searched for fabric and she searched for the right things to put on this bear, and she made her from scratch. She made her. But she made her with something in her heart that was like nervousness, because actually I could have come down on Christmas morning, taken one look and said, that's not my bear. I could have done that, and it would have been heartbreaking for her. She did it night after night after night. She even scrubbed the fur off. So she wasn't furry like this, because Patty Bear was old. She wasn't furry. There was no fur. She was quite tough and hard. She's got a bit softer now because we've cuddled her. But she was exhausted. She'd got 2 small children, under 5 or whatever it was, and she was every night sewing by hand the bits of Patty Bear and trying to get it exactly right. So that was a small stone. She was trying to move the mountain of my grief, and she sewed a bear as a small stone. And it was quite a risky strategy, because it could have been, Christmas morning could have been really different. And sometimes we are the hope fulfilled for other people. Sometimes stepping out a little bit, picking up a small stone, sometimes that brings hope and fulfilment for other people. And David, if you think about David, he used small stones to knock down Goliath, didn't he? And I think by picking up that small stone, you can bring a glimpse of Christ, and you can bring a glimpse of the hope that is fulfilled in him into somebody else's life. So that's what Izzy and Ollie are doing at the moment, praying for that family. That's what they're doing. They're bringing a glimpse of Christ through into that place of darkness. They're bringing a glimpse, picking up a small stone, asking people to pray. On to the next one. So this is when we have to press the buttons a lot. I'm sorry. So I haven't thought that one through. So while we're waiting, while we're yearning, and while we're longing, we're also keeping on walking, because we know he's coming. So we're still walking towards Christmas. We're not stopping. We're not going, do you know what? It'll just turn up in 2 weeks. We're ordering the turkey. We're inviting friends and family. We're wrapping presents. We're preparing for Christmas. So I think when the Lord declares in Jeremiah, he says, "The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fulfill the good promise I made to the people of Israel and Judah. In those days and at that time, I will make a righteous branch sprout from David's line, and he will do what is just and right in the land." So Jesus came and he overcame the darkness so that we can face it. And part of the season of Advent, I think about the Israelites, going back to the Israelites, so they knew what rain was, they knew what parched land was like, so they knew what rejoicing was like when it rained. But they also knew the grind of the daily grind. They were making bricks in Pharaoh's army, in Pharaoh's lands. So they were slaves. They were just making bricks every day. They weren't doing anything very exciting. They were just making bricks. So bricks, 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 sleep, eat. Bricks, 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 sleep, eat. Bricks, 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 sleep, eat. And I think sometimes life can be a bit like that for us. Bricks, 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 sleep, eat. School run. Feeding family. Every day the same. Every day the same. Going to work every day. Same old, same old. And you can feel like you're in that kind of, just that on the treadmill. No hope on the treadmill. It's going to be the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. It's probably going to be the same next week. It's going to be the same the week after. But the first thing that God did when he rescued the Israelites, he took them out of their slavery, and the first thing he did was say, right, here's 10 commandments. And one of those 10 commandments was to rest on the 7th day. So don't just do bricks, 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 eat, sleep for 7 days and never stop. Stop on one day, take a Sabbath, use that to rest. So he built rhythm into their lives. And God builds rhythm into our lives. So here today is a space, is a stop in the rhythm of the week. It's a place where we can stop and say, actually, I'm going to focus on you for a couple of hours. And he gave them a really good way to organise themselves. And then the church gradually kind of turned that into the church calendar, a part of which is Advent. And that whole walking through and preparing. And it makes space to meet Jesus, the calendar of the church. So you think about Lent, and you think about Advent, you think about Easter and celebration. You think about sort of and it takes us through that really gently, doesn't it? Saying, Easter, from death to life. We walk through that every year. A reminder that we walk from death to life, which is a really precious thing, I think. And sometimes it takes us through that, but it takes us through the death bit as well as the life bit. It takes us through the darkness as well as the light. And that's the point, because actually in the Bible, you think about the Bible, Rob Bell says in one of his, I can't remember which book or blog or whatever, but he talks about sometimes in worship how we always sing happy songs. And actually the Bible isn't a happy song. It's got loads of stuff in it. It's got sadness, it's got grief, it's got anger, it's got hope, it's got praise, it's got worship, it's got the whole gamut of stuff. But it has a whole section on lamenting as well. And it recognises the darkness so that we can appreciate the light. It recognises that it isn't all right yet. It isn't all right yet. There's things that happen that are not all right. It's not all right that Joshua's poorly. It's not all right that that baby is ill. It is not all right. And we live in that all the time. But we also live knowing that he has come. He is with us. He has come. Hope has been fulfilled. Therefore, we can be hopeful. You go on to the next one, Andy. I am coming to the end, I promise. So, the promise that he gives us is the thing that's not yet. Oh, sorry, this is walking while waiting. Yeah, so while we're doing it, what are the things that we have to do? Number one is we have to face the darkness. Recognise and name the things that make your stomach churn, that make your heart sink, that make you shake with fear, that make your heart pound in the middle of the night when it's dark and you're on your own. Recognise and face them and take them to God. If you put them in a corner and you don't recognise and face them, that's what builds that bitterness, that hardness, that corrosion, that corrodes the hope that we have in him. So don't do that. Face it, bring it out, talk to other people about it, get it in the light and say, this is the darkness, this is the bit I walk through. So when everybody else is not there in the middle of the night, this is the thing that in the depths of my soul I'm angry with God about, or I'm upset, or I'm disappointed, whatever that thing is, get it out in the light. Because it's been overcome already. That's the promise. And then watch and wait for the light. So watch for it because it comes, and it comes sometimes really quick glimpses, like a little candle sometimes. It doesn't always come in a big flash, and it doesn't always come in a lighting up the whole of the world. It doesn't always come like the sun rises. It sometimes comes in really, really quick glimpses, almost like a strobe. And a strobe light, sometimes you can miss it. You know, like if you've got your eyes closed at the time it comes, you miss it, don't you? Next, sorry, Anne. Because you know you've got hope, you pitch your tent in the place of hope, which I think is a word I brought a couple of weeks ago. So it's really important to keep making sure your tent's strong in that place of hope. Next one. And pick up the small stones with those little acts of faithfulness. And that could be just the really simple things. You know, seeing someone who looks unhappy on the bus and saying, you're right. It could be walking alongside somebody as they go through grief, or as they go through the heartbreak of watching somebody they love in a really awful situation. Or it could be praying. And find space in the busy, particularly now, find space in the busy, because we can all be busy, and sometimes, and I am put my hand up on this one, I am busy all the time. There are days when I, you know, even in my house, AD will say this, I can find all sorts of rubbish to do that doesn't really need doing. I can just, you know, I'm tidying, I'm moving things, I'm putting things from one side of the room to the other, purely because it's actually much easier to do all of that than it is to sit down and take some time to reflect on the darkness and bring it into the light. And feel the rhythm that God's given us. He gave us a rhythm for a purpose. Don't lose it. Don't forget that there's a rhythm, there's a rest. There's a rest that's needed in the middle of it all, so that you can keep going on the longer haul. So rejoice and be glad. So go back to the first one, that gaudete in semper, in Domini semper. Rejoice. Because our hope has been fulfilled in him. Joy to the world, the Lord is come, says the song. And when we invite him into the places where we've given up, so it's the places where we've given up and cynicism and hardness and bitterness have crept in, when we've stopped believing in that situation that tomorrow will be better than today. So whatever that is, you know, whether that's somebody that you've been praying for years and years to know God, and it hasn't happened, and it's really easy to go, do you know what? Over to you, I'm giving up on that one. But don't give up, because actually that becomes another little bit of bitterness, another little bit of hardness that says, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect myself from the disappointment by sort of building a little bit more of my wall. So when we believe that that person or that institution or that church that will let us down, we have a little bit less faith and a little bit less hope, and that corrodes. So it's about allowing a softening of our hearts. When Joanna was singing earlier, she was singing about the first Christmas Day being all for us, and she was singing open up and let me in. And actually I was really struck by the thought of, like, you know, when you put heat on leather, so leather's really tough, you know, like when you get a new pair of Dr. Martin boots and they're like, they are solid, they are like, they will not break, and you put your feet in and it's painful because you have to kind of walk them in, you have to walk your shoes in, and when you put heat on leather, it softens, But what it doesn't do is it doesn't break, it doesn't crack. It stays just as tough, just as strong, just as moulded, and just as useful. But you put heat on it and it softens. And God often puts heat on us in those places where we're feeling it's darker. That's where he puts the heat on. Or that place where you think it's impossible. Or that place where you think, actually, I can't, Lord. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Where your stomach goes. And where your heart pangs. That's where he puts the heat on. And that's where he softens your heart. That allows him more room to expand it and to grow you. And actually, he put us in a family so that we can do it together. He didn't say, sit in a room on your own, although that's important too. You do need to be on a room on your own with him. But actually, he put us in a family so that when that heat is on and when you're softening, you've got somebody to stand around you and maintain the form so that it doesn't disappear, it doesn't stop being a shoe. So I'm going to leave you with this, I think. Next slide, Andy. I need to press the buttons again. Sorry. My gardener's assistant's been very good. So just press. Again, yes, just press once and then I'll tell you the next one. So, first question. What are you longing for? Can you name the longing? It might be for justice, might be for peace, might be for a person, might be for love, might be something much more practical than that. But what are you longing for? What is the truth of the longing that sits in your soul and makes you groan, oh Lord, oh God, what are you longing for? Next one, Andy. And what would hope fulfilled look like? So in the middle of that longing, what actually would it look like if hope fulfilled came in? And sometimes that's quite straightforward. Sometimes, isn't it? It's like healing, isn't it? For that little baby, what would hope fulfilled like? Hope fulfilled would be a fully healed child able to fully engage in life. But you need to name it and you need to see it because you need to pray for it. And you need to get other people to see it and pray for it. And what would it look like for you, those you love, and for our community? And then how are you meeting with him in that place of longing? Have you put it aside for a bit? Put it down for a bit? Left it alone? Or is it something that happens all the time? Are you constantly in that place of longing with him, saying, come with me, I'm sitting in this place because I'm yearning for it? So, I'm going to go back to joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let every heart prepare him room. And when we talk about preparing him room, we prepare the room in the dark place as well as in the light. And this time of Advent, this sort of working up to Christmas when hope was fulfilled in the incarnation of Jesus Christ, that's part of that walking. It's reflecting on it, looking at it, bringing it into the light, ready for that incarnation. So, if any of that's spoken to you, then absolutely happy to pray for you here, and I'm sure there's loads of people. But talk to each other about your longings, because keeping them hidden doesn't help. So, yeah, get them out.